Oregon creates 15% of the nation's semiconductors, but the state's dominance in the industry is at stake. The federal government wants more microchips and semiconductors made in the U.S., offering up $52 billion to help states incentivize companies to build here. If Oregon does not step up, the state could miss out. A bill aimed at incentivizing semiconductor chip manufacturers is moving through Salem and was passed by the Senate this week. Senate Bill 4 had bipartisan support, but it comes at a cost. It could authorize the governor to unilaterally expand land boundaries in a quest to lure chip companies to build those factories here and boosting jobs. To break down this bill is one of the chief sponsors, Republican State Senator Tim Knoop. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be here.
So, set the table for us here. What is at stake for Oregon semiconductor industry with this bill?
Well, what's really at stake is the future of Oregon, because we have a significant portion of our economy that is high-tech semiconductor research and development and manufacturing. In fact, Oregon would still be in recession from 2008 without the semiconductor industry and the growth that's happened there, because it's billions of dollars in revenue and just tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars worth of investment coming into Oregon because of the semiconductor industry. So we want a future of opportunity and high-paying jobs for Oregonians that will last for generations.
The bill creates $210 million in incentives. What specifically do those incentives look like, and how will that money ensure investment here in Oregon?
Well, so there's opportunity for technical help. There's opportunity for partnership investment from the state with about a $200 million fund. There's some workforce dollars attached to that as well. But the second piece of the semiconductor package really is the incentives and investment package that comes beyond that. And we're hoping for a research and development tax credit, an extension of the gain share, which is essentially a significant break on property taxes that are levied on equipment that goes into buildings, and then an extension of enterprise zones where counties and cities can enter into agreements with companies about lowering property taxes or abating them for a period of years.
So the land use piece of this legislation has drawn criticism really from all sides. You've criticized the state's land use system. Fellow Republicans have questioned if this bill allows the state to act quickly enough to designate land if a developer wants to move in. What's your response to your colleagues?
Well, there's no question that Oregon's land use system isn't working, and the obvious evidence of that is that we don't have land that's available where we can act to take advantage of the $52 billion that the federal government wants to invest in onshoring jobs and bringing them back to America in the semiconductor computer chip industry. And so the big fab plants that have need hundreds of acres and have 1 million square foot or more under roof in terms of production or research and development facilities. Oregon doesn't really have any spots where that could happen. So essentially you couldn't recreate an Intel or a Microchip or other companies that are already here in Oregon today with Oregon's land use system. And because there is a time limit on these federal dollars, it is important that Oregon play a role in or have an opportunity to compete with other states for the opportunity to onshore these high-paying jobs for Oregonians. And so the bill does give the governor authority to cite a couple of different potential spots outside the urban growth boundary. Most of the land, though, that is available for the medium-sized and smaller companies is already in the urban growth boundary. For instance, Redmond in Central Oregon has 500 acres that has multiple potential sites that are, ready for water, sewers there, power's there, all the infrastructure is there to the site. So those are ready to go, but the big sites are not. And that's kind of been the rub, because some of that land is up in Hillsborough, Washington County area, where there's currently grass seed farming that's going on.
So some of what the bill does allows the governor to designate 2 sites larger than 500 acres outside of the urban growth boundary. Do you worry about giving the governor's office too much authority to designate that land?
Well, I got to be honest. We're always concerned when the governor has authority, for instance, for emergency powers during COVID. Different governor, of course, but yeah, we are very concerned about that. We are hopeful that this governor understands that this needs to be targeted and it's a specific time frame, and will act with, I think, cooperation from and counsel from the legislative branch in making her decisions on this. We probably would have been more prescriptive if we were in the majority as Republicans, but this is the direction that the majority chose to go. And so I don't believe we should miss the opportunity just because we have some concern, but there obviously needs to be plenty of input from both the public and from the legislative branch on this.
You mentioned that site in Redmond. How important was it for you representing Central Oregon to make sure that the rural parts of this state weren't forgotten in this bill?
Well, I think it's critically important because there's opportunity basically all over the state. So we have Redmond area, we have Medford, we have Boardman, there's area in Albany, McMinnville area. So Gresham, there are areas where there are sites where there are 25 acres, 50 acres, 100 acres, and Redmond specifically has 500 acres. It's broken into 200 acres and 50-acre parcels and so on. And so there's some flexibility there, and there are plenty of medium-sized companies. And I have been trying to get people to focus on. I honestly, I'd rather have 20 to 50 big companies come or expand in Oregon than have just one company. But I don't think you can underestimate the value and impact that companies like Intel and Microchip have had on Oregon, because, for instance, out in Hillsborough, there's about 22,000 people that work on that Rondler Acres campus today. And that's bigger than, honestly, most cities in Oregon, just with that one plant and the revenue that they produce off of the income taxes that are paid for those high paying jobs. So yeah, it's important for rural areas as well as metro area here in Oregon.
Well, Senator Tinkham, that is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining us on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Yes, thank you.